was sharing is, it's in the modern day world today, we are in a more of a corporate culture. So we have some kind of buzzwords going around, like your innovations. You're talking about creativity. You're also talking about work-life balance. You're also talking about responsibility. You're talking about accountability. You're talking about ownership. Now, one school of thought says that all these things are only meant for the corporate world. But the kind of specialty that I've come to you today with, that is, I'm talking about the psychometrics of students as well as the teachers. I'm talking about the NLP. I'm talking about such psychological techniques where we're trying to maximize the efficiency of our working. There, I feel these techniques can be applied in all walks of life. And unfortunately, some of you may agree with me, some of you may not. But the fact of the matter is, the education system in India that we followed for the last 72 or whatever number of years is not delivering to a level which it should have. We have become a society of even haves and have-nots, even in the educational world. The haves, if you have heard about the story of the ant and the grasshopper, I'm sure most of you heard about it. So all the ants are sitting in Silicon Valley, and the grasshoppers are still languishing in JNUs and various other institutions of the country. So that is the difference I'm trying to address to. And from there, I want you, the teachers, because teachers are the biggest, they say 4 pillars of society. I would say 5 pillars of society. If you all remember, Nelson Mandela once said, he said, in case you want to destroy a country, you don't have to wage a war on that country. You simply go and destroy the educational system, and you will have won the country by leaps and bounds. So it is from that point of view, though I have a limited time, I shall only be introducing you guys to some kind of a process. And thereafter, in case you feel that it is to be done, then it has to be a proper workshop on that. And you all are teachers. Now we're talking about creativity. Now creativity, what we'll do is in next about 40 minutes, actually we've had developed 2 sessions of 40 minutes each on Zoom meetings. So first I shall try and talk to you about this, a few components of creativity. And then we should also talk about what is the student behavior which is prevalent these days, because there are certain degree of differences over there and certain methods. And then I'll talk briefly touch about work-life balance in the second session. Moment the first session finishes, we'll have about a 5 minutes break. And I've given you a second link also. So within 5 or 10 minutes, you can take a break and get onto the link again, and we'll start again. Now, before I push further, since I am addressing all the professors and all of you guys, senior guys, you are teachers, you got varied experiences, fantastic amount of qualifications, and all kinds of things that you have. I only would like to touch upon you, or rather remind you guys, that you must remember that how important you are. Unfortunately, my experience in this education world in India has been that we do not give much of an importance to teachers. Like, my simple argument is that if, as a government of India, we started an Indian administrative service, we thought that administration was very important, and whatever we did, we'll not get into that. But today we have 29 central services working, for which there is a UPSC exam. Why couldn't we have an Indian education system as well, service as well? Now we are making certain strides from the UGC side to introduce NET, then introduce JRF and things like that. But are we giving so much importance to that? I mean, I've seen the dilutions wherever I've been. I mean, the last university where I served, I was told that those things are diluted. They're not the basic qualifications anymore. And I got a whole lot of experiences sitting in the classes and listening to the teachers teaching. So those things today I will not cover because we don't have time for that. But just as a reminder, I just want to ask you, you all know who Kalpana Chawla was. And you all know the day she died in the crash while she was coming back from space. The media naturally runs to Kalpana Chawla's family. They want to cover her on ground because she was an US citizen. But then in India, where did the first reporting of media, where did they go to interview? They went to her school to interview her teachers and not to her parents in Rohtak. So that is the importance of a teacher. Another incident I'll tell you, there was a state visit from a Sheikh Amir of one of the heads of one of the states of Middle East. Moment he landed at the airport, leaving all the protocols, he went to touch the feet of Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam was not president at that time. He was just a normal person. He said, he has been my professor. So that is the importance of a teacher. Thereafter, even I give you example of Gyani Zail Singh. In one of the functions in Darbar halls, when there were a whole lot of people sitting over there, and our Gyani Zail Singh suddenly comes there and everybody is standing. So before he sits down on his chair, he gets down and goes to the third row of people and touches an old man's feet. And then he comes back and starts the proceeding. Later on, when he was asked, why did you touch the feet of that old man? Who's he? He said, he was my teacher when during the struggle for independence. He was the man who made me. There's a whole lot of story. So that is the importance of a teacher. And I guess you should also be thinking about those terms. So as I said in my preview, we should be talking about the components of creativity and talk about student behaviors, methods, and bit of a work-life balance. And thereafter, in case the session finishes, we'll graduate onto the second one. Now, what is creativity? Okay, creativity, I think we've lost the slide, doesn't matter. Well, it is just a process to encourage the young minds to apply themselves to find new innovations. Okay, it is basically you as a teacher, you have a subject matter experts, whatever qualifications and experiences you have a curriculum set for yourself. You have a curriculum set for yourself, and thereafter you are teaching that. So that becomes a skill teaching. Now the same skill teaching, if the process is changed, and instead of training, you start facilitating, so that would amount to creativity. The amount of participation from the children, the students, and making their minds ring up, making their minds work and think about it, and then come out a solution which probably is your statement, that would be creativity. So it is basically a process to encourage the young minds to apply themselves to find new ideas. Now let's see what are the components over here. Well, components for this particular creativity, firstly, it should have lots of fun. I mean, it should not be morning say, abhi tak hamare 7-8 periods chal rahe hain, so another period. So that gives a bit of a boredom. So it should be fun, fresh new ideas. It should help your organization stand out. Then creativity, there should be flexibility. There should be a lot of imaginative thing. And then collaborative sort of a work. It is a collaborative between the whole lot of class and the teacher who works as an anchor. Okay, so these are the components. Now, before I go further, I will tell you something very interesting. Now, student behavior is something very, very interesting thing. They have all kinds of things. Like I give you example. Like I've been speaking to a child, and the student says, "Hey, why do you want me to attend a class? मेरे father ने पैसे दिए हैं, you give me a degree." I found it very funny. So this is one extreme of a student behavior. So I try to delve more into that to find out why exactly is this child speaking like that. He says, I want a degree to go to Canada. The boy from Punjab. So my funda is very clear. I said, but if you have to go to Canada and you have a degree, but you have not learned the engineering, how will you work there? He said, I don't have to go and work as an engineer over there. I'll work as a cab driver, I'll work as a restaurant waiter, I'll work as a petrol pump or something. So this kind of a behavior that you need an engineering degree to be there, it's pathetic, but then it is there and you got to see it. Okay, now then another extreme to it is, like I give you my own live example. When I was a kid, I was in a school. My generally physics and mathematics always were 100% marks. So by all standards, I was a good student. And there was another close friend of mine. I thought he was also a very good student, but then his marks would be 60%, which were not acceptable at that time. They thought he's not good. and they would ask me, come and teach him, take classes for him. He's a good friend of yours. Now let me tell you the story. I analyzed as to why this guy is not getting marks, because I always thought he was a genius. Now the reason was, like if there's a physics problem, there's a numerical, I give you example. It has a formula to solve that problem. So I would mug up, I would cram that particular formula and go and write in the exam and solve the problem, and I would get 100% marks. So my marks will be 150 out of 150, whereas this guy won't cross 90. And then when I found out what is the reason, Reason is, if this gentleman says, I cannot cram, I cannot rot learn the formula. So what do I do? So this guy would derive the formula right from the word go, and then arrive at a formula and solve. And as a result, he would not finish his question paper. And that is how he was never able to finish his question paper and no marks. Now you tell me, who was the genius out of these two students examples I've given you? Definitely him, not me. So this is what, as a teacher, you must try and understand what are the nuances amongst the children. And once you identify those individual basics of each child and you work on it individually and then make them work as a collectively, and that is what ultimately will lead to creativity. Getting the statement, he will also have ideas about it, associated ideas. So his learning would be enhanced by 500%, maybe 1000%. And that is the crux of the reward of a teacher, that you will produce as a student who's thinking in such a wonderful manner. So you have to do that. Now, how do you do it? This transformation has to be done by you and not by training. So that system has to be different. Now, if we have to learn that system, that is a subject by itself. But I'll give you certain insights which might help you to do all this. Now, this is some kind of a behavioral flexibility that you have. And guys will be misbehaving because they are the unchannelized energies. They will be doing all sorts of things. So now you have to decide as a teacher that you try to channelize their energies the right way. His thought process is channelized by provoking, questioning, answering, and corroborating, and becoming a friend kind of a thing to that child, and make sure that he thinks the right way. And finally, the example which I want to give you, that I'll give you a little later. But before that, I will share a couple of things with you. Just a minute. Now, this is the student behavior. Now, this community thing first, the C for community, this could well be a rogue behavior. This may not be a positive community behavior, like what you see on the campuses in JNU and a whole lot of universities all over. So you as a teacher have to create an environment in such a manner that the child gets lured into a positive community behavior towards more learning. He sees something ahead of him, something lucrative, and goes there. And similarly, resilience, excellence, accountability, tenacity, identity, and voice and empathy. So these are the student behaviors which you have to make sure that they turn into some kind of a positive thing by behavioral studies. And then the methods which you like to use is, first method is your active learning. Now you should sort of promote a student to do something called active learning. That is giving them more opportunities of self-learning. Like one such example is that if you have let's say 20 lectures in a semester, so out of 20, you make 10 taught and 10 untaught. And untaught lectures are given to the students. They prepare on their own. They go through the books. They go through the net. And then with the guidance of the teacher, they prepare their own lesson plan. And then the lesson plan is approved by the teacher. And then they come and teach the class. So this is some kind of something called active learning. Then there should be a lot of practical work. The classroom teaching becomes very boring. The practical work, you have to go to the field and do it. And then it should be with mutual learning, like you make a group of 3 or 4 students on a particular subject. They sit down together and do it. And if they have problems which they'll encounter, then they should be meeting the guide to do that. This is something like what you are taught before we go for a PhD, that contact program of 6 months where they teach you how to do it. So I'm not saying you have to go into that kind of a level, but on a mini level, a similar kind of a thing should be promoted. Then another thing is, whatever subject you're teaching, you should initiate a group discussion. The group discussion, the teacher has to be innovative now to make sure that how this group discussion is promoted. Moment that is done, I can assure you, all the students will start taking a lot of interest. And all those guys who say, मेरे को Canada जाना है, engineering degree 17 lakh पापा ने दिए हैं, all that nonsense will vanish. They'll start becoming the part of the project. And this is a behavioral science. Then they'll start feeling important in that particular thing, in that particular class. And that is how the learning would be better. Then you should also promote them to move into difficult and venture into difficult areas. There may be failures, there may be problems. So no teacher, no student should feel victimized over there. They should not feel that suppose the mistake has been committed, they'll be reprimanded for that. So there the college administration, there the teachers body, all those people have to come together to make sure that they do a good job over there. And in case there are problems, they are encouraged. No sympathies are shown, but empathies are shown. And they're not victimized. And if at all there are people who are lagging behind, they are promoted to further things. They are motivated to go further. And the amount of appreciation should be adequate. So those difficult areas, they don't feel uncomfortable with. And then there are traditional barriers, like you have jealousies, you have to give incentives, the administration must support, and there should be overall communication. And once these barriers are overcome, I can assure you, your class would become a very vibrant. And everybody, let's say during even the break hours, sitting in a canteen, people talking instead of what, let's say Shri Devi or movies, they'll be talking about the subject they're discussing in the class. And then thinking about the various ideas they try to do this thing. So that is one work. Now, this is the promotion of the student venturing into difficult areas, overcoming traditional barriers. Now, finally, now this is something I want to have one-to-one, heart-to-heart talk between you, all teachers, and me. Tell me very frankly, are you happy doing your work? Aren't you feel stagnated? Don't you feel that I have done my master's, I've done my PhD, I've done my postdoc, and thereafter my area has shrunk? Have I stagnated? How do I go beyond that? Now, certain amount of egocentric thing come in. Look, so what? I am a teacher, I'm doing my job. That's my work, I've done it, I get a salary, it's fine. But give it a different thought. Has the growth stopped even in you? Like I was talking to a professor, he said, look, I know the subject, you wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll come and deliver the lecture. I told him, sir, that is not the case. At 2 o'clock, you might deliver a lecture, but the students, who are those? They may hear you, and they're used to hearing you for a donkey's ears. But let me tell you, are you using any training aids? Are you using any facilitation aids so that student understands better? After you have delivered the lecture, what is the assessment of your lecture? How many students have understood this? And how much they have started, how much of their minds have been triggered? Like it happens in the army, I tell you in the end how it happens. So think from those point of view. Instead of being very, very rigid and dogged about knowing your subject, now try to get that transformational process also. So new things once you bring, the class becomes more interesting. And you have to keep permanently thinking about making class more and more interesting. Now, having said that, I now again take you into the next sort of a thing. You will say, I'm a teacher, I'm not a corporate manager. I'm not here to sort of give figures. I don't earn profits. I'm a teacher, मैंने शिक्षा करनी है. Perfectly all right. Sir, your profits are what your students finally become. Your student goes to NASA and becomes a top scientist. You will get all your dakshina there. One chap of yours becomes prime minister. You will tell the whole world, look, he's my student. That is what is the dakshina of a student. So you have to be very, very innovative. You have to be very distinct. Now you will say, so I will keep working like a corporate manager. No, you have to have a work-life balance as well. So that is what I said. I'll touch upon the work-life balance. But before I go to that, let me give you a small little example as to how the instruction is imparted into the colleges and schools of Army. So we have, say, 10 subjects to be taught. Let's say I'm a air defense chap, so I deal with the missiles, radars, etc. So if I have 10 subjects to be taught in a particular radar, 5 are taught by the instructor who's a qualified instructor, and 5 are taught given to the students. So student researches, and we call it a teaching practice, like you have in BA. You call it teaching practice. So that teaching practice is assessed in all the aspects. How many training aids, how much of innovation, how much of new things that have been brought, how the subject has been imparted. So similar thing you can do it for your students here also. So that will ease your loads also, and thus you will get the final this thing. And in details, if you want to know about it, we can have another workshop on this. But now coming to the work-life balance. So I want, yes, work is there, but you should not neglect your life otherwise also. Now over here, I've got certain things to talk to you about. I think, I don't know how much time we are left with. But anyway, the first work-life balance example I'll give you. There was a attorney, top attorney. She was the something equivalent to Chief Justice of India in US, and she was interviewed by the journalist once, and she was asked, "Ma'am, what is the secret to your success?" So she said, "My secret to success is work-life balance." She says, "I was married, I had a child, I was feeling very this thing within myself, so I decided to go for the law studies. So I asked my parents, I asked my father, I asked my husband. So everybody told me, look, you want to pursue your studies, go ahead, but make sure that your home is not neglected." So she said, I took it a principle that when I am in my workplace, I am in my workplace. I don't worry about the home. And when I'm at home, I'm at home. I don't mix the two. So that is the success Raz I've got. So similarly, there's something called 5-ball theories. So we have 5 balls in life. First ball is our work. Second ball is our family. Third ball is our, what do you call, just a minute. Yeah. First ball is our work. Second ball is our family. Third ball is our health. Fourth ball is our friends. And fifth ball is our spirits. Now let me tell you, it is the first ball which is work, which is made of rubber. Rest all balls are made of glass. So if you throw the first ball, the work, it will bounce back. So if you have problems with your work, I can assure you, if your attitude is correct, you will keep getting opportunities. That bus which you catch every day in the morning keeps coming after every 5 minutes. So there's no problem. But the rest of the 4 balls, that is your family, your health, your friends and spirits, they are made of glass. And they're made of glass. So once they fall, they break. It is very difficult to get them back. But even if you're able to get them back, let me assure you, they're deformed, they'll never be same again. So you have to strike a balance. You don't mix your work and your family life together. And both should have dedicated time and space for them to work. So similarly, like the army, we say that you do time management. When it is a time for a particular thing, you are there only. And when you have time for your family, your friend, and your health, you should be there also. So there should be equitable justice between your work and life. And similarly, this kind of a thing should carry on. I hope you all, I give you a similar example. A professor, I think this was viral on the WhatsApp also. He had a big jar and he had some tennis balls, he had some marbles, and he had some sand. And he asked students, you put the tennis balls into the jar, you put all, is it filled? Yes. Can anything more put into it? They said no. And he puts marbles get adjusted. He says, then again the jar gets filled. He said, can you put anything more? He says no. Then he puts sand goes in. So similarly, like as we should put the tennis balls is our family and health. And then marbles are your work, your friends, and other things, you know. And then sand is the rest of the things. So you should put them in the correct order. The family health should take priority. then your work, your friends, then your other ambitions. So likewise, if you try to do the other way around, if you put this sand, it will not allow even marbles to come in. And marbles, you put marbles first, it will not allow the balls to come in. So the perfect sequence has to be there. Sequencing has to be there. Timings have to be there. Mr. Pankaj, yeah, Shruti.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please, boliye.
I have a question.
What's your name, please?
Sir, you talked. My name is Dr. Sunish Shukla.
Yeah, Dr. Shukla, please.
Sir, you talked about the balance between work and family.
Yes.
And you said when a person is at work, he should concentrate on work, and when he is at home, he should concentrate on family.
That's
Would
right.
you also suggest some sort of a buffer zone between the two, where we can sort of take both of them?
Dr. Shukla, sir, I unfortunately मेरे पास समय ही 40 मिनट का था और आपने एक बड़ा important सवाल पूछा है. I'm very happy that you thinking good, and this is what you should make sure that children also do it. And you asked me a very good question. It's a very vast subject, and I have to take a full-fledged workshop on that, work-life balance. So allow me to do that. And so far, the buffer has to be there. That is actually I have a slide to show you, which is basically you have to balance between the two. Both are very important, and there may be an inter-se importance, a shade difference, but then they have to be important. There's no point becoming an Einstein. You get a more Nobel Prize, but if your family is not with you, what is the point? The best part is you go to receive a Nobel Prize with your family in tow on the stage with you there. That is what is the real life success. So, Mr. Shukla, I hope I have made myself clear.
Yes, yes.
We are running out of time. We got 10 minutes left. Unless you want me to give you another session after this, that will depend only in case you ask me questions.
Sir, I want to ask a question. Just you are talking about the creativity. When we are dealing with the 60 students, means individual higher students को अगर हम check करते हैं कि हाँ वो कैसा है, उसकी capabilities क्या है, and after that when we are talking about 60 students in one row, so how can we manage that thing? We can maintain also creativity. We can also learn from them.
Okay, ma'am. Again, may I know your name, please?
Shruti ma'am, sir.
Shruti Keshri. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. You asked a very good question. This particular thing depends. You have to apply certain tools to get that. And as a teacher, I personally feel today that you must be an NLP expert. That is, neuro-linguistic programming also should be your hobby. Despite if you're a physics or chemistry or engineering professor, NLP, psychometrics should also be your hobby. And you should be expert on that. To give you an example, I'm training certain children who are very, very poor from weaker section of society. They cannot afford to go for coaching or service selection board to join the army. So they told me, sir, aap hamari help kariye. So I said, all right, you come and join me in one of my groups. So I made their groups, and whatever teaching I have to give them about that particular service selection board interviews, I've made those performers, and I make these children teach to the others. So I make a group of them. So within a group, their leadership comes out, their creativity comes out, their speaking skills come out, and all the fears that they have in their mind, the cobwebs that they have in mind, they also come out. And you people are lucky, you're in an engineering college. Engineering is something very, very innovative. Engineering, when you're thinking totally ahead. So if you have the fertile minds and your attitude is correct, and those fertile minds are read by you as a professor or a teacher, and if you're doing that, I can assure you, you'll do a wonderful work.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, there's a question from Dr. Pankaj Agarwal. कि बच्चे स्टडी से distraction में होते हैं, how to adjust them? Again, I'm asking the same thing. You must have certain neuro-linguistic programming tools up your sleeves. You must have psychometric tools up your sleeves, with the help of which you make the life interesting for the child. Child gets distracted because he gets bored. He feels कि मेरे को आपने आज Pascal's law पढ़ा दिया, वही statement, वही रट्टी, वही डाली. But उसी Pascal law की अगर आप innovation करके पढ़ाएं उसको बताएं इसका क्या फायदा होता है, how does a ship or a submarine or other things work, or even tell him stories how the Pascal's law was discovered, that Eureka story. So when you add these few masalas into this, few sweet dishes into the particular subject that you are teaching, which obviously is very boring, and that propels their mind to think and make them discuss amongst themselves, make them discuss with you. So you definitely, they will not get distracted. They'll try to, okay, I will say they get distracted towards you. They'll get distracted towards the subject, provided you use those techniques. And rather than be just a stereotype, like I'm telling you, I was in university as a vice chancellor, like an army guy, like we do in the army, and the class is going on, the head of the organization goes and sits in some class to see how the teaching is going on. So I also went and sat in the students in a class, an MBA class. The teacher, whosoever she was, she just gave 4 points in 40 minutes, made the children jot down, and class went over. I asked her, she said, sir, ये 4 points हैं, यही सवाल का जवाब है, और यही question paper में आएगा, और यही answer लिखना है. So the whole focus of the teacher was कि question paper में जब question आएगा, उसको कैसे answer करना, so the child gets marks. अगर वही चीज उसको different तरीके से समझाया होता, तो once this MBA student becomes a manager in a corporate, तो उस particular concept को कैसे apply करना है ground के ऊपर to get those profits, to get those productivity, that child would have learned, and he would have been a better manager, a better corporate leader, rather than only filling up the thing in marks. So those distractions.
I want to say one thing about this.
Yes.
Just कि sir, students हमारे पास हैं, we also follow the application based teaching हमेशा application के base पे बच्चों को examples के base पे ही हम आगे follow करते हैं. लेकिन सर एक ग्रुप जो 60 स्टूडेंट्स का ग्रुप है, जस्ट सपोज कि 10 स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे हैं जिनकी कैचिंग पावर बहुत अच्छी है, 10 स्टूडेंट्स हैं जिनकी कैचिंग पावर थोड़ी सी लो है. तो अगर हम उस चीज को डबल टाइम एक्सप्लेन करते हैं तो जिनकी कैचिंग पावर बहुत अच्छी है वो उसको तुरंत ग्रास्प कर लिया, वो बोर हो जाते हैं कि मैम आप रिपीट क्यों कर रहे हो, व्हाई आर यू रिपीटिंग ऑल दिस थिंग्स. एंड आफ्टर दैट सर जब वो 10 स्टूडेंट्स को, तो हमारे लिए वो 40 स्टूडेंट 50 स्टूडेंट से मैटर नहीं करते. तो ये एक जो सिंक्रोन बनाने के लिए, एक सिंक्रोनस करने के लिए क्लास को एक फैकल्टी का जो पेन लेना पड़ता है, उसके बाद क्लास थोड़ी सी बोरिंग होना, आई थिंक इट्स पॉसिबल.
I've got a question. I've got 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. So I'll try and answer you. You asked a wonderful question, and I'm so happy that it has come. First of all, you're a class of 16. Please go on the net and find out what is the ideal class size. Ideal class size is 22, as per the education researchers. And let me tell you, in Army, all Army schools of instructions, our class never goes beyond 25. Basically, 20.
So we cannot challenge the methodology of teaching. We cannot change the. We cannot change that.
Yes, thing. I'm aware. I'm aware. That is why when I started, I criticized the education system. I know you people are suffering. I'm not.
But we have to. We need to survive all these conditions.
Listen. No, I'm suggesting because I'm running out of time. I wish. Can we go for another session after this? If you ask Mr. Rajendra Chitodia. Ask him, I mean, if you can go for, okay, I'll try and answer. So when you have 10 very bright students, 10 not so bright students, and 10 very dull students, so make a grouping of them in such a manner that all three come together. Rather than becoming a class of 60, you have a grouping of 20 each sitting in the same class. Now, once you are teaching something, you've taught something, then you give a subsequent projects to those groups. And now you people have to think about something innovative. Okay, I've taught you Pascal's law, but now next Pascal law is this. So this has to be researched by these 3 groups which are made of 20 each, which has all 3 categories, and each one must contribute. And you come and do a presentation as a team. Moment you get them there, even the guys who are least interested and who are not very sort of uptake is weak, they'll also come up. Let me tell you, as far as the brain is concerned, neurons are concerned, all are same. Psychologically speaking, nobody's intelligence is any lesser than any higher. It is how much you apply yourself. A child who applies himself, he's supposed to be higher IQ. Who doesn't apply himself is a lower IQ. But the structure of neurons, the quantity of neurons in his brain is the same. So you have to encourage that child that you start using your brain. Now let me give you very interesting statistics. The psychologists say that the best usage of human brain, even the guys like Einstein and those Nobel Prize winners, is only 10%. Even they also did not use 90% of their brains. And we, as average citizens, average individuals, I think we use our brain only 0.001%. So encourage the guy to use his brain. Have I answered
Okay,
your
sir.
question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
1 minute left with me. So are you ready for another session? Should I send you another link? Please unmute yourself and say yes or no. Okay, nobody is talking. So thank you very much. It was wonderful being with you. And I'm sure I'll be there with you again. And we'll come to you again, minus these technical glitches. There cannot be technical glitches in an engineering college student, engineering class. That is blasphemous. Engineering guys.
Sir, we are highly obliged to have your session with you, sir.
No. I don't want obligations or something. I want if you make use of it and show me some results in front of me, I'll be very happy. That is my Guru Dakshina, if at all. But I'm telling you, it is blasphemous to have technical glitches in an engineering student class. It can be okay for a history class or humanities class, but not in engineering. So we have to get over it. So till we meet next, unless you want, I'm still waiting here. In case I get a request from your organizers from your college, we'll start another 40-minute session if you want, if you have questions. So thank you very much.